Distribution provided by Cloud Sigma, the cloud that adapts to you. Visit cloudsigma.com/thisweekend for a free $200 credit.
Today on the program, Zen Payroll. They're going to kill ADP. They're going to kill Paychex. They got a list of angel investors: Jeremy Stoppelman, Javid, the co-founder of YouTube, David Sachs. This guy's an all-star out of Y Combinator. He's going to explain what Zen Payroll does and how they're going to change the world. Stick with us. It's going to be a great This Week in Startups. Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis, and this is This Week in Startups, the show where we talk about making a dent in the universe, building something, being a samurai, not a rice picker, starting a company, trying to make something of yourself, building a team, entrepreneurship, all that good stuff. And we couldn't do this show without the great support of my friend Scott Walker over at the Walker Corporate Law Group. They're a boutique law firm specializing in representing entrepreneurs. They've got lawyers with decades of experience from some of the biggest firms out there. But because they're a boutique law firm, they're not going to be trying to ram and jam you with a ridiculous number of hours. In fact, they do fixed fees, and Scott encourages these because he believes that billable hours reward inefficiency. And just like you don't want your startup to be inefficient, Scott doesn't want the Walker Corporate Law Group to be inefficient either. And you can reach Scott at 415-979-9998. 415-979-9998. Or you can just visit Walker Corporate Law. And Scott, I know a lot of people use him as an attorney. People have great experiences. He comes to all the launch events. He's been a tireless supporter of This Week in Startups. And he says, Jason, I've gotten so many great clients out of your program. I'm going to sponsor it forever. And, Scott, from me to you, I appreciate that. You do a great job. And I just love the idea of a boutique law firm that just specializes in one thing, entrepreneurship. And so go ahead and give Scott a call, 415-979-9998. And it's just great for me to be able to do a sponsor, read for somebody who I know you're going to get great value from. Call Scott Walker directly, 415-979-9998. And he's the kind of guy who'll just have coffee with you, shoot the shizzle with you, and did I just say shizzle on the program? Shoot the ish with you. What am I supposed to say? I don't even know how I'm supposed to. I got that swear jar here. I'm going to bury myself. Okay. Listen, I've been wanting to have Josh Reeves on the program for a couple of months now. Zen Payroll was part of the Y Combinator class in the winter of 2012, and I heard about this idea, running payroll, managing employee hours, overtime, bonuses, reimbursements, garnishments, benefits, all that kind of stuff, and doing it all through a beautiful interface. And I saw the design. I was like, my God, this stuff is gorgeous. This kid's a winner, and obviously we went to Y Combinator, so that's a pretty good sign that he's a winner. And he raised $6 million back in December from people like Aaron Levy from Box, unbelievable. David Sachs, unbelievable. Drew from Dropbox, unbelievable. By the way, those are the two winners of the launch festival. Google Ventures, unbelievable. Javid Karim from YouTube, he's the third unknown founder of YouTube. Jeremy Stoppelman from Yelp. My God, it's just ridiculous. This list just goes on and on and on. What a great list of investors, and what a great idea. Welcome to the program, Josh Reeves.
It's great to be here, Jason. Thanks for having me.
All right, so tell us, what is the mission of Zen Payroll, and why did you start it?
Two great questions. Well, just to start, I use the word mission a lot when I talk about Zen Payroll, so I'm glad you phrased it that way. We're on a mission to provide delightful modern payroll to businesses everywhere. And we started this business 1.5 years ago. It was an inspiration. I have two founders. The three of us had previously run startups and experienced the pain of using other payroll systems. We have members of our family that run small businesses. And as entrepreneurs, I was born in San Francisco, had the good fortune to study electrical engineering at Stanford. We're compelled to solve problems. And the more we learned about this market, the size of the incumbents like ADP and Paychex and how difficult their products are, the more excited we got about trying to fix and improve this market. Because a lot of businesses today spend way too much money and way too much time on this process that could be made much simpler. And that's really what our goal is, to make it a lot simpler and easier for businesses across America and ultimately across the world.
All right, so here we go. I'm in the product here, and walk me through it. I click on the dashboard. I see I have a to-do item. I can run a payroll. If I click Run Payroll, what happens? What are you doing? I mean, it's obviously not just a web interface here that's a report. What's going on in the back end here?
So I think it's important to highlight, we take payroll very, very seriously. When we started out building this business, our backgrounds are in product, software, design, previously running companies. Two of us had sold our previous startups. We quickly added some folks to the team with over 30 years of experience in payroll at ADP, Paychex, and Intuit. So on the compliance piece, on the nuts and bolts of making sure that we're paying the taxes on time, calculating, and taking care of all the government requirements, we take those details very, very seriously. So what you're seeing right now is the product today. It's a web-based product. We have a dashboard that you just jumped through, which basically highlights a set of upcoming tasks. The goal and how we built it was to make it as simple as using Gmail or Facebook. And that's the philosophy behind what you're using. So to run payroll, I think right now you're looking through modifying an employee, but running payroll can be done in a few minutes. Basically, you're clicking Run Payroll. You're seeing a list of the employees that you've added into the system. You can add hours, you can add bonuses, modify reimbursements. If those all look good to you, you can go ahead and click the green button that says Save and Continue. And once you click that button, you are asked to confirm those details. You can click Confirm. And pretty much once you click Submit Payroll, what we're doing behind the scenes is a wide variety of things. So you're now done, it looks like.
Yeah.
Basically,
I hope I'm in a test account, by the way, because if these are your actual employees, Josh, I just gave somebody like 40 hours of double overtime and a $120 bonus. So you might want to let people know they're getting a direct deposit they don't deserve. Or they do, for that matter.
That's the kind of error where, I mean, there's no errors in the system, but obviously I think the employees would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Your benevolence. But I think the main thing here is what just happened. It was very simple for you. It took 20, 30 seconds. We even have made it simpler where you can actually click a link from an email on your phone, run through that flow in a few minutes and be done. Behind the scenes, we're actually calculating all of the taxes, local, state, federal. There's 15,000 odd tax codes in the United States. We're simplifying that, calculating it based on the values you've given us. We're actually going ahead and you've run payroll today, it takes a couple days, but we actually go ahead and pull money out of your account. We go pay all your taxes for you, and we go pay your employees for you. So really there's nothing else that you have to do. Once you've set up and run payroll, you can get back to building your business.
So now what about these other issues around running a small business? Because this is aimed at, I'm assuming, people who have, what, 1 to 200 employees?
Yeah, so a great stat there. There's 6 million companies in the US that need payroll. Over 3.5 million of them are less than 5 employees. So we're very focused on the smaller business owner, less than 20 employees to start, although we have some companies that are larger. They're very busy, they have a lot of stuff on their plate, and they're eager to go, obviously, pay their employees on time, but then get back to running their company. So there's really two approaches there. The business can go get set up directly and run payroll on their own, or if they're working with an accountant or a bookkeeper, this is a product we launched last week. Their accountant and bookkeeper can actually set up an account for free and then manage many companies from one central location. So both use cases are fine in our system, either having the accountant or bookkeeper run payroll on your behalf or have the small business owner do it themselves very quickly and efficiently.
And I get the sense from the amount of people pitching me on their payroll services that this is a heck of a business and that I am getting screwed by people like whatever, these payroll companies and the paycheck companies. How do they charge for their services? Because it feels like I'm paying them way too much, or I have in the past. And how do you charge for your services?
Yeah, this is one of, again, the philosophy behind the product is really built upon transparency, right? Doing what's right by the customer, making the product do its job and let that stand on whether or not someone should choose us as their solution. So historically, the two leading payroll companies are ADP and Paychex. They're 40 and 60 years old. They're worth about $45 billion by market cap. And a lot of times you're running payroll on the phone. But the reason why their prices are high, our pricing is about 3 to 4x cheaper. We charge a single fixed fee. It's $25 per month per company. And then we charge a small fee per employee. So as your company grows, you pay more. But a 10-person company is $65 a month. for a very full service offering. We're doing all compliance, all reporting, all government kind of filings.
So I can have under 25 employees for under $1,000 a month, $1,000 a year, $65 a month. That's incredible.
That's for 10 employees. Yeah. So 20 employees, $85 a month. So
wow.
About 1,000.
And what would I pay if, apples to apples, oranges to oranges, putting it up against ADP or Paychex? What are you looking at?
ADP or Paychex are about 3 to 4x higher. And the reason behind that, you end up paying for a lot of nickel and dime type fees, multi-state, adding additional W-2 compliance, adding additional contractor support, adding specific documentation support per state. Our goal is a single transparent pricing structure. There's no additional fees or add-ons. We tell you exactly how much it's going to cost, and we give you everything in the product that you expect.
At what point did ADP or Paychex become aware of your product, and what has the intelligence been? Because there's obviously a gamesmanship going on here if you're trying to disintermediate them.
Yeah, I mean, I highlight ADP and Paychex as obviously leading companies in the space, and they've been focused on solving this problem for a long time. On a day-to-day basis, we don't spend a lot of time focused on these larger players. A huge segment of the market today actually does payroll very manually and doesn't use any type of software. So that's really an area that we're focused on to start, is getting folks that have never adopted software as a core part of their back office to really take that first step, trust a SaaS application, leverage the mobility, accessibility aspect, and also just rely on the fact that we can offer a much lower price system because we automate a lot of our back-end processing.
And so you mentioned mobile there. Is mobile the gateway to getting these, sub 5, sub 10 companies that are doing it like through their accountant or just paying cash or, being in the gray market? Is it that they don't have a desktop computer or they don't spend time in an office, so if they can do it on their mobile phone, they'll feel even better about it? Mobile first payroll?
Yeah, so from day one, we built the product to be accessible on any mobile device, whether it's a smartphone or a tablet. One of the core theses there is that a lot of these small business owners, like you said, don't have a corporate office, don't have a back office. They're kind of on the fly, moving on the go, running their business. And our goal is to let the customer choose where they want to interact with us. They can always reach out to us by instant message. They can call us if they have any problems. We love talking to the customer. We just frankly think that the product, when it's doing its job, can basically let you get back to work that much quicker. And so we have folks running payroll from their phones, tablets, or from their computer. Any of these are options.
So ADP and Paychex haven't come, because they do, at some point, if you're going to disintermediate somebody and you're going to charge a fraction of what they're charging, they tend to call you and say, like, hey, can we invest? Can we meet with you? When ADP called you or met with you or Paychex, what was that meeting like when you meet with some huge competitor like that?
Yeah, I was going to mention the anecdote. So we obviously are very focused right now on just building this business to its full potential.
You mentioned that, yeah. But answer my question.
Say, well, when we launched, we noticed they did buy ads, keyword ads against Zen Payroll that advertised the ADP products. So that was kind of a little hint for us of...
They're aware. Do you think they send that to you as like a little message to F with you? Like, hey, look, we know you exist. We're buying your keyword.
I mean, frankly, we know they exist. They know we exist. The best product will win. The customer being happy and satisfied with the experience is what matters most of all.
Yeah. Okay. So listen, you're on message, Josh. But answer my question. Did they come to you and try to invest? Because I think it's important for entrepreneurs to know that this does happen. That people like that come and try to take you out early. Did they come and try to take you out early? Yes or no?
ADP and Paychex, we have not had extensive conversations with them.
But they have approached,
but I can share with you, there's a number of folks in the ecosystem. It's a small world. There's a lot of companies in Silicon Valley that care about this environment. Frankly, a lot of our investors, if you look at the folks that we raised from, are at very large companies that care a lot about SaaS. And payroll, literally every single business needs payroll. So it's a very in-demand product. So I think that goes to more of a philosophy, right? The question here for an entrepreneur, and this is what I love to share with other entrepreneurs, is why are you starting the business in the first place?
See, now you're giving some good stuff now, Josh. Keep going. I like that.
Yeah, so what we kind of go back to, I had sold my last company and it took some time to figure out what made me happy in my life and what I wanted to be focused on when I felt most proud of what I was doing. And that's something that connected me and my founders as well, because one of them had sold his last startup as well. And it was when we were tackling a huge problem that was felt by a lot of people and that were in a lot of pain. And so this is what I brought up in every single investor conversation. We raised the funding back in April of last year. It was a very compressed 2 weeks where we were meeting with a lot of amazing people who wanted to be a part of this journey. We told them, my goal, my dream is to spend the rest of my life building this company, right? The next 50 years for me, ideally will be spent building Zen Payroll to its full potential, because there's clearly that opportunity out there. And now, it's on us, it's on our shoulders, it's on our responsibility to go achieve that potential. That's the dream. That's what I want. That's what we want as a team. And that's what we look for in the folks that we hire, is the desire to be owners, to have that ambition, motivation, to derive joy from tackling a huge problem that matters to a lot of people. And every day that a customer tweets or thanks us for what we've built or acknowledges the time that we've saved them, that's when I feel most happy.
How'd you get into Y Combinator? What was that? Take us through that process. Why do you think you got accepted? It's very hard to get accepted, obviously.
Yeah, I actually had attended Y Combinator demo days for a few years as an investor after more on the angel side, the chance to be a part of companies that I really cared about. My co-founder had actually done YC 2 years prior, but we went through the normal process. It was an application, a little video that summarized kind of what we were interested in working on. Interview with Paul Graham, very quick, but to the point. But YC was great for us. I mean, I've been a part of a number of different entrepreneurial communities coming from Stanford and being very involved in the student entrepreneurship club there called Basis. I actually ran a seminar called the Entrepreneurial Thought Leaders Seminar, ETL, which you might have heard about or seen on various podcasts that ran every Wednesday. So this has been near and dear to my heart for a long time. YC was great. It's a great group of people that are tackling a lot of different problems. We were kind of older in the group, so hopefully we were able to provide some feedback and advice based on our experiences, and a lot of those folks are very good friends today.
And who's Y Combinator perfect for? I mean, you mentioned you guys are a little bit older and a little bit more seasoned. Giving away 6% of your company for 15 grand when you're a seasoned startup, is that the best use of your equity? Certainly for a young company coming in, hey, and if you're a first-time entrepreneur, but I don't hear from many second-time or successful entrepreneurs, angel investors going into Y Combinator and giving up that much equity. Why'd you give up 6% of your company for 15 grand?
Yeah, so not to comment too much on the details, I get asked a lot, who should apply to YC? I think YC is great. It's in no way whatsoever a prerequisite to building a startup. Someone should be on a mission, on a path to go create a solution and solve a problem. And if YC can help them, then fantastic. Some quick things that I like to highlight there. If you're building a product that is developer-centric, YC is great because you have a massive community of developers that are going to try out, give you feedback, and be very direct in what's good and bad about your product. If you're B2B-centric, a lot of the initial customers using Zen Payroll were other YC companies, so it was great to get those folks on board as a kind of initial customer base to give us feedback. The thing that ultimately drove me to apply with my team was I talked to a lot of other friends who had gone through the program, and they all said that with their next startup, they would go ahead and apply again. And we even had Social Cam, right, which is, and Justin Kahn, right, from Justin.tv. All of these guys were second-time entrepreneurs still going through YC. So that was what kind of tipped me personally to really be excited to be a part of the program.
They'll give a second-time entrepreneur a better deal, from my understanding. Like you might only have given 2 or 3 or 4 points for the 15K, correct?
I actually don't know too many of the details there, but I know that they welcome.
Oh, Josh, you can't lie to a poker player, Josh. You can't lie to a poker player. It's all over your face. You got a better deal. All right, listen. You're very diplomatic. You're very diplomatic. So you got this all-star.
Very transparent as well.
You're not very transparent. You're diplomatic. There's a difference, Josh. You got that big. I got all your tells now. We got to play some cards soon.
Let's do it.
You got an all-star list of investors. How did you get those? Drew and Sachs and Jeremy. Is this just relentlessly networking for the last couple of years, or does it all happen on demo day at Y Combinator? Obviously, it's a spectacular event when they do their demo day. Everybody's there. So, how did you line up this all-star list?
So my first tip, when I get asked about fundraising, we didn't raise any money on demo day. We didn't raise any money in the few days afterwards.
That's crazy. Wait, that's the exact opposite of everything I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, my advice, and this is, I think, very, very important advice, and I think you would agree, who you take on board as an investor, who you work with as a partner, the law firm that you highlighted earlier on, obviously who you hire as an employee, these are the core stakeholders in your business. And so it's crazy to me. I would never rush the process of choosing who I want to have involved in building this company, especially since I hope to do it for many decades to come. And so it was a couple-week process for us, many of these folks of which I had known previously. But the core of what we're doing is what I think got folks most excited. The fact that it's an incredibly large market, dominated by incumbents that really haven't innovated for a very long time. There's a unique set of conditions today that we think make this a great time to really displace and improve the back office. I already mentioned SaaS adoption, mobile tablet adoption, e-file, e-sign, e-fax, the fact that we can automate and create a fully paperless system. These are all conditions that make this a unique time, I think, to have this type of solution work. And so it was a lot of meetings, a lot of conversations. I always tell entrepreneurs when you're starting a business, you really need to care about what you're doing and care about the problem you're solving, because you're going to talk about it 10,000 times, 10 times in one day.
How many people were in the round? It looks like a dozen.
We actually had a few dozen, 15 plus CEOs. So we were heavily biased towards folks with SaaS backgrounds.
So that's the theme there, right? That's why you got Drew and Aaron and Javid, Team from Zuora, Chris Dugan from Badgeville. So
great folks.
15 people. How many people did you have to meet with to get 15 of these all-stars?
We actually raised from more than 15. I mean, the actual number that we raised from was over 40, I believe. So
40 individuals? Is there a lead investor or no?
So there's no individual lead investor. It's a set of angel investors, Google Ventures and Salesforce. We had interest from a number of venture firms as well, but we decided with this round to focus on highly value-add individuals. With our next round, we'll be more focused on accelerating our growth.
But you called it a $6 million seed round. That's really not a seed round. $6 million at a whatever you got, 20 million posts or 18 million posts, whatever you got for that. That's a round, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's all semantics. Legally, we raised on the Series seed notes, which I'm sure you're familiar with, so I didn't want to be misconstrued there. To me,
but the level of the amount you raised in the valuation is got to be more. We assume any round is about a third of the company, so you're talking about 6 million on 18 or whatever it is. That's going to be an A round in terms of the size of it, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, our goal was to collapse the funding and give us the ability. I'll go to why we raised that amount. For us, this is a big problem, right? Payroll is not something that ever is in beta, ever in alpha, ever in test. We spent all of last year.
Yeah, if it crashes, you might have some people call you. I mean,
and we're very paranoid. We absolutely we took a whole year to build this product, hire folks with decades of experience in payroll, build out our engineering and product teams. We didn't launch till December, but we actually raised this funding back in April. So it's been over a year since we raised the funding from our investors. And that was because we wanted to really be very deliberate and one of our values, we list this on our website, it's don't optimize for the short term. So with this funding, we have the ability to think long term, have a lot of urgency. We're working very hard, and the team is very excited by this problem. But we didn't want to have to think 1 year in, a year and a half in, time to raise money again. We wanted to have the flexibility to really build this foundation because we do think there is a tremendous amount of potential.
One thing I've heard from people with these, what I'll call mega angel rounds, the no lead angel round is, you don't have adult supervision. That's what some of these, old school VCs say, like, this is a huge problem. Did you get that criticism from VCs or just people around you like, oh, there's no lead, so nobody's in charge over there? Is there a board in place? And how do you respond to that kind of criticism? Not that I'm giving it to you. I'm an entrepreneur. I think you raise as much as you can from the best people. But you do hear that criticism, do you not?
Frankly, I mean, we've had a very positive reception. A lot of our customers are startups, including some...
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking in the industry. I'm not talking about the customers, Josh. I'm talking about the industry.
Well,
people say there's no lead. You have no lead investor. So how do you... who's watching from the investor side? Who's doing the monthly board meeting with you?
So I think that goes more to how you do corporate governance, right?
Right, that's what I'm asking about, yeah.
We're not, albeit, we're young, I just turned 30. I've been doing this now for several years, and this is my third startup that I've been a part of or started. So we take corporate governance very seriously. We have formal sets of board meetings. We work with our attorney on a regular basis. The investors that I meet with, those folks that you listed, I don't talk to them on a monthly. I talk to them sometimes on a weekly basis. I'm on the phone with Aaron at Box several times a month whenever I need feedback. They help us with interviewing. So it's a very active interaction. But at the end of the day, how we run the company, how we make sure that we're thinking long term and not making mistakes in the short term, it is up to the management. And I use a lot of the investors that are not equity holders, but are very actively involved in giving me advice as a sounding board on a regular basis.
Well, the business is doing well. The product is extraordinary. It's beautiful. Design is great. How important is design today in building a startup? You've built a couple, but this is excellent design looking at it. I mean, that was one of the things that first struck me when I met you guys, is that the design was just really top shelf. And you would think ADP looks terrible. So how important is design for startups today?
I think there's a big shift happening. I think ultimately, Jack Dorsey is who I would view as a leader in this shift. Even just the concept of how you embed design in a product engineering, sales and marketing organization and make sure everyone cares about the user experience. In some ways, it kind of just makes sense, right? You need to care about what the customer sees. And so, I'm really excited about this trend reaching into both enterprise, which is where I'd worked previously, but now really small business, which is a space that's been lacking in having access to really high quality, easy to use tools for a long, long time. So, it impacts how we run the company, I would say. We have a lead UX designer who's very involved in pretty much every decision that we make from a product perspective. But we also have a bias towards hiring engineers and hiring teammates that have an eye for, how they would use something, right? Ultimately, we're all the ones testing and digesting what we've created. And I think that's a shift that we see happening now across a lot of industries. I think it's going to continue. And the customer benefits at the end of the day, which is the best part.
All right. You got the success, you got the money, you're building it out right now. What's the next hurdle before you do that big A round and find the bigger partner? Do you have to hit a certain goal in your mind of clients or footprint? And how do you measure your success right now? Because so much early success, you obviously have enough money that you could burn for a couple of years. How do you keep the team motivated, and what's the next hurdle for you guys?
Yeah, so what we're very focused on right now, as a one immediate short-term product goal is today we're only available in California. So adding multi-state support is a big area of investment for us. We'll be adding 2 additional states towards the end of the quarter, Texas and Florida, and then starting next quarter, several states a month, including New York, Washington, and a number of other states. So that's a short-term product goal. And I think it has to deal with, if you look at what is our promise to the customer, right? We've created a very simple, easy-to-use product, but it's very full-featured. Our goal is to literally take all of the requirements that the government has on a small business owner from an employment perspective and say, we'll take care of those details. We'll show you what needs to be done. So as long as the government has bad UI and UX, there's a lot of value to what we're providing. But there's a lot of work to be done to make sure that works at the local and at the state level across the country.
So based on that, a couple of months, that means you've got, at least a good year and a half ahead of you of just getting every state online. Is that correct? It's going to take a while, huh? This is arduous in a way.
Well, actually, the first few states are what's most difficult, but we'll have fairly nationwide coverage by the end of the year.
Oh, so, fantastic.
Starting in, like I said, next quarter, Q3, we'll have several states a month coming on board. So it'll actually be fairly fast once we have the first few.
And let's talk a little bit about the extensions here. I recently started using something called Harvest. I don't know if you know Harvest app or whatever. Absolutely fantastic, transformative for my organization to have people just putting their chunks of hours and projects, against projects. So, hey, we're doing this YouTube show, we're doing this, app, and it's the design team versus the UX team versus the writers, et cetera. It really was transformative for our organization. But then we also have a personal employer organization that has timekeeping and timesheets. Nobody's put these two things together. And to me, the employee using this device, the smartphone I'm holding up for people who are driving or running right now while listening to the podcast, that's been extraordinary because I see people using Harvest not on their desktop computers, but they're at their desktop computers working, and then they check in on Harvest on their mobile. Is that the future for you guys too, is time tracking and project? Because it feels like Pivotal Tracker and Harvest and Paychecks and ADP are on a collision course, and you can get there before anybody.
So I think I love talking about that topic. So basically, we view this whole concept as what is the modern back office ecosystem, right? Because you have a lot of pieces there. You've highlighted, time and attendance, labor scheduling. There's obviously also HR systems, benefit systems, accounting systems, expense management systems. So our goal is to be the best payroll partner and best payroll product out there. We're not planning to build any of those individual additional features. Our goal is to actually work with best-of-breed solutions that are out there today. So I actually was chatting with Danny from Harvest a few weeks ago, who's one of their co-founders. And so our goal, if you think about it, and this is kind of one thing I like to share in terms of our view on where this is going, if you think about what it takes to manage work, to manage an employee, there's really three core components, right? It's assigning the work to someone, making sure they did the work, and then paying them for that work.
Right.
The third piece is what we want to be involved with. We think there's actually hundreds and thousands and perhaps even thousands more potential startups and products that will emerge to tackle the first two. By industry, I have a friend building a product to help someone manage home health aides, people that are out in the field taking care of elderly individuals. Right, and he's built a great way to track their hours, assign them tasks, and then at the end of it, he has to do a CSV export and then upload that into ADP and go, run payroll.
Painful.
In a very manual process.
So what you're hinting at is API coming.
API coming. You're the first to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, clearly,
in the next few months.
I think that the next few months, yeah. I mean, for me, you might get me off of my personal employer organization, but because of the Harvest hookup, because I'm got 8 out of 10 people here doing Harvest, and gosh, that'd be so great if they put what project they work on and they got paid, and it was modular that way. It would give people more autonomy to work the way they want to work and on a project basis. I'm finding many more people just want to come to a website with a list of tasks, do the task, file they did the task, and get paid. I mean, it's almost like a global pivotal tracker. It's like Mechanical Turk is leveling up to the high-skilled workers. Do you see that as a trend?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's amazing just, again, how individuals by industry, by different categories, track and organize their work. And there's a ton of project management applications associated with that. A lot of them tie, obviously, to the hours that you're working and how you allocate to different tasks. I use a bunch of different tools myself in my personal or professional life. We don't in any way want to compete with those individual
Which ones
products.
do you like? Which ones do you like?
So I use Asana. I enjoy Asana for personal task management and also recruiting management. I enjoy Pivotal Tracker is what we use as our development project management tool.
Yeah.
I'm still a fan in some ways of Notepad files, which I know is pretty old school.
That's very old school, yeah. And so how do these things get applied without being draconian, right? Because once you start tracking tasks and how much time people are putting into it, God, this is huge benefit for the organization. But there are some people who feel like it's a little big brother, and I've seen actually resistance in my organization from it. Ironically, the people who are high performers embrace it seems, because they feel like they're getting more credit for work, and the lower performers are the ones who seem to have the biggest problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has to make sense. There's a couple buckets here, right? The stuff that makes sense and frankly has been around for a long time is the ability to track one's hours, to know what someone did, right? Just the ability to check in and check out if the person is an hourly employee. That's an input into payroll. When you run payroll, you have to enter those hours.
And you legally have to do that, right? I mean,
yeah,
in
by
California,
doing these integrations, the value really is you don't ever have to enter data more than once, right? So if you're entering your name in one place, we have this philosophy thing we share. If you never should have to enter your name more than once. Once you've entered that data, it should be accessible when it should be available, where it should be available, through your permissions.
Right.
So when you give us your name, any of the government documents that require it, we pre-populate with your name.
Oh, thank God.
If you're using a time and attendance application that already has all your employee data and you synchronize it with Zen Payroll, then all of your employee data is automatically updated in Zen Payroll. You should never have to update addresses or phone numbers in multiple locations at the same time. And our goal is to let you use whatever tool you want, as long as the payroll piece can come through us. That's what makes us happy.
Josh Reeves on the 50-year journey to reinvent payroll and to make it gorgeous and more Zen-like with ZenPayroll.com. All-star list of investors, as we said, David Sachs and Drew Houston, and just all kinds of great people out of the Y Combinator class. Everyone needs to care about design and think long-term, according to Josh Reeves. Follow Joshua Reeves on Twitter at Joshua, R-E-E-V-E-S. And everybody try ZenPayroll.com, especially if you got a company that's under 20, 30 people. Like, this is a no-brainer, and you're in California. And if you've got a friend or a family member who's running a small business, these are the kind of tools, when you point them to it, that you're actually helping them. You're helping those people because they're getting ripped off right now by these bastards at ADP. I mean, I love seeing businesses like this because those big corporate, giants like Paychex and ADP, they just wind up slaughtering these poor startups with these hidden fees and everything. I really think what you're doing is great, Josh, and you're a great guest. Yeah.
I appreciate it. It's been fun.
Yeah, and so is there a discount code or anything special that we can tell people if they sign up, or what? Do we have a discount? 1 month free.
We actually offer every customer that signs up 2 months free right now.
Oh, great. You don't need a code.
We had no one stop using us once that expires. The product does its job. It's the easiest to use one out there. It's one of the most affordable, and customers, it's been great. We have this underlying goal when we started the company. I'm a product guy at heart. We looked at the two building blocks of payroll. I think we talked about this a year ago when we last chatted.
Yeah.
For the employee, it's receiving their pay, and really the conduit that lets them literally receive their salary. And for the employer, it's how they acknowledge the contributions of their employee and reward them for their hard work. You take those two building blocks, there should be a chance to build a product that people really care about and love. And that's the opportunity we have. That's, if you look at how many folks are frustrated or disillusioned with their existing solutions, that's a product failure in our view. And so that's what we're trying to fix.
And you know what the interesting thing is, Josh, and it's a great place to end the discussion, is it's unnecessary stress and animosity that occurs because of some of these products where the employer feels like they're getting ripped off by this provider and the employee feels like they're being made to jump through hoops, and it creates this friction, I think, where like the employer's like, oh my God, this is such a pain in the ass. I'm paying all this money and I'm not getting value, and the employees are like, I'm not getting value either out of this, and these people are, making me jump through hoops just to get my goddamn paycheck, and they're making mistakes. It really is. When it's poorly executed, like it's been traditionally, people look at payroll services and this stuff as poorly executed. There's never been beautiful execution here. It just creates this really weird wedge, I think, between employees and employers when the HR is not flawless and beautiful and Zen-like.
So that's one of the things we love to emphasize. We view the employee and the employer as equal stakeholders, which has never been done before. And we love it when we have HR admin folks email us and they say their employees, emailed them and said, good choice, or thank you. Because we give the employee a lifetime account, right? It never expires. You always have access. It should follow you wherever you go. People have many jobs at one time. It's common sense that you should have access to your pay data in a way that's actionable and useful, not just a set of PDF documents on your desktop.
I love that fact that, it's like my account is my account, not my employer's account kind of BS.
Yeah.
Listen, Josh, can't wait to see you next time up in the Valley. Let's grab a cup of coffee and continued success. I'm assuming you're hiring awesome people who want to take this 50-year journey, correct?
Hiring across the board.
Okay, so
great people that want to be a part of the mission.
Got it. And so if you're passionate and you got a sense for design and you want to, work at a great company backed by literally the A-list, first name at ZenPayroll.com tends to work for founders. I'm just saying, it probably works. And look at that. Look at this security message. My God, even the security message is beautiful. Pull out my screen, folks. Look at that, huh? Look at it's like just even like all that little design stuff matters. It adds up. Great job, Josh. Great guest on the program. You really brought some good advice for the entrepreneurs here, and I wish you great luck with ZenPayroll.com.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks a lot. And we'll see you next time, everybody. And thanks to Scott Walker, Walker Corporate Law, for actually, he's been a sponsor of this program forever. And God, it's so great to have sponsors who I believe in and use their products and being sold out for months in advance. It just makes it really easy. Like, we're hiring a new producer for the show. And so we said, like, hey, why don't we get somebody who's got like 5 years experience, doing like talk radio or CNN or ABC News or Howard Stern or whatever. I don't know, Charlie Rose, like somebody who's like knows what they're doing as opposed to me and the other people here who are just figuring out what a show is. And that's because we have great partners and sponsors like the Walker Corporate Law Group. So thanks a lot, Scott. 415-979-9998. Everybody thank @Scott Ed Walker. And we'll see you next time on This Week in Startups. Bye-bye.